What's up, Ramblers? Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button for this daily podcast to never miss an episode. And follow us on YouTube at Assistance HQ for all the latest content and behind the scenes on the Ramblings. It's a whole lot of assistance going on. And now, a moment from our sponsor. What's up, Ramblers? Welcome back to the podcast. I think I probably have the most informational and valuable podcast that I brought to date. I don't think I'm going to bring any more value in a podcast that I've brought so far than this podcast that you're going to listen to right here, because so much has happened in just a couple of days, in a matter of 24 hours even. I've had my whole social media top blown upside down. I've had a whole bunch of changes. Things are just going crazy. And I've decided to convert to, instead of recording via Anchor, I'm going to record on Zoom and then use Anchor to upload my podcast. So it's just for the audio. I don't really need video. You might get some of this video during my behind the scenes episodes. However, you may not. Things are starting to really heat up. We are on board. We are in the process of onboarding a client. So what that means is, the client hasn't paid us yet. However, it means we have sent them the papers for them to join us in, for them to eventually say that they can give us money, basically. So my onboarding packet has a non-disclosure agreement and a payment terms processing. So it basically says hey, we're not going to take your passwords or anything like that. And it also says, hey, make sure you pay us on time, and you're making sure you're getting the value for what you pay for it, everything. And then there's a document that I send that says, hey, these are great practices on how to use a virtual assistant. We are in that process now. So I literally just sent out the email saying, hey, these are the documents. These are going to need to be signed. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations on onboarding your virtual assistant. It's the whole shebang. I'm actually feeling good because this is my largest purchase to date, and it's going to be a reoccurring client. She's purchasing technically 8 hours for the month and discounted 3. However, that's for starters. Then she's going to want her website done. And if I do well enough on this, I'm the person who's doing her website. And this is supposed to be an ongoing process. She wants to bring me on for, let's just call this this is supposed to be a long-term client kind of thing. So the retention of this could be, 150 now. And then by the time we get to, let's just say, May 20th, May 25th, she might be ready to re-up and everything. And now we're starting with the re-up of hours. So she's going to get her same package of hours, which is the 8 maybe. Now she's not getting the free 3. And then it moves to 300 for the website. So this is really building up. And I am going to bring so much value to this lady. Unbelievable, incredible value. Because I'm going to work listen, I am excited. I don't know if you can't tell because you're just listening. Things are starting to go well. However, I messed up. See, normally I start off on the bad and end up on the good. So that's the good. However, downside is I did lose a different client earlier this week. Technically, yesterday. So what happened was she was supposed to go through with the onboarding process. However, just due to budget issues and, me being understanding that this is Corona time and not everyone has, the funds to go through with, certain services, just keep me in the back of your head. That's really all I need. So it just turned out that right now isn't the exact time that she would like to use me. She'd like to give me consistent work, which, I don't blame you. I would love consistent work. That's exactly what I need anyway. So it's been a trade-off kind of week, but I'm actually extremely excited because things have gone. So yesterday was a day of Zoom. I had 3 meetings and calls, which one was a rejection, one was an exception, and one was informational value. Oh my gosh, I learned so much. It flipped me all up on top of my head, and that was what I did. I think my podcast. I think that was just today's podcast. Or today's podcast. I'm dropping daily podcasts and making podcasts in advance. So I don't know really what's what. I schedule everything and then I kind of forget about it. I think I need to do it. I need an assistant. So I'm going to need an assistant at some point. You understand that? I'm going to need an assistant at some point. So I'm enjoying everything. So my conversation with my goal is to be a good friend of mine. As of right now, if I'm having a vision and I need something with social media, she's the person I'm going to call for that. So this I'm going to say acquaintance, this great peer of mine, hopefully soon to be a friend. She gave me like great advice on reframing and restructuring my total social media. Like, if you listen to my podcast and if you follow me across social media, Assistance HQ, I'm posting all the time, like too often. I guess some might say too often. I guess there is a such thing as too often. So I was wrong on that. I will say that. At least as of right now. I've heard mixed things. I'm not a social media expert. That's not my forte. So I'm just going based on, what the information is I'm hearing and guidance. So I'm going to tone it down a lot. I've restructured my content schedule. I've really changed how I'm going to be releasing content, the type of content, and how contextualized it is. Like, really honing down and focusing on drawing engagement, and then really just engaging with social media. Using it. I've never really used a discover page on Instagram or anything like that. I've never really been part of groups. I've never really liked a lot of pages or anything like that. So, and she gave me some advice on my marketing, which has been helpful. Don't use all of the things you have to do all the pointers and everything, So I really don't know. I'm learning, and as I learn, I'm going to tell you guys. That's the beauty and the journey of this, So it's really more or less like my do, execute, repeat. First you do, execute, and then repeat. So right now I'm in the doing phase, and then I'm going to come back up with another strategy that I'm going to execute. And then if it doesn't, if I execute and it doesn't work, then we know to go back to the drawing board and all over again. It's wild. So going back to me not getting the client, that really put me in a sore spot. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. That's what I want that to be. Because I really was excited. I went around saying I already had the client. Like, I was acting like I already had the client. No lie. And I learned real quick, do not count your chickens before they hatch. Because life will humble you. I'm glad I got I'm glad that I just started armballing somebody, because I would have been really pretty upset. But, now it's just a matter of being able to take that, Things happen. Life happens. I'm not upset about it. But it still affects you. You can not be upset about something, and it still, I guess the term would be, make you feel some kind of way. I love saying that. I don't know. It makes you feel some kind of way. So please don't count your chickens before they hatch, and don't act on it, especially, if you were because far too many times, at least I didn't do this, far too many times I see people anticipating money based on circumstances or certain events that are going to happen, and those events and circumstances don't happen, but they've already got some things on credit because those people believe that, hey, you're going to get this type of windfall or this type of XYZ amount of money in a lump sum, and I'm going to be able to get it back no problem. And you don't get that. It's happened to me before. I'm not going to lie. I've learned my lesson on that before. So you just really got to continue doing your due diligence. Just work it through. Don't celebrate too early. Sometimes a celebration isn't even needed, everything doesn't need a response, a celebration. Everything doesn't need to be done. Sometimes you can just continue, because the reason you're celebrating is because it's new. You're getting a client. You're celebrating getting a client. At some point, getting a client is going to be a norm. So, you got to think about that. If you're celebrating getting a client, that means you have to be doing better. You have to be doing more. And that's why I have to be doing better and doing more. And I have to continue doing due diligence. Do due diligence for your business, because that's what's going to do right. That's what's going to be right. Your business is going to thrive on your due diligence, especially if you're in my shoes, like being a solopreneur, where it's just you. There's no one else to blame. It's literally just you. You can't say, oh, hey, I didn't have a good team, or I hired a bad accountant, whatever. No, this is all on you. Speaking of hiring accountants, oh my gosh, we have to do a much better job at at understanding the books. I think it should be everyone takes an accounting course as a business person. If you're going to run a business, take an accounting course, at least something basic, because understanding the basics of your books and how cash flow and the structure works is very important. It doesn't even have to be a paid class. Go on YouTube and look at like the free segments where it's like, they have like the 8 videos and they total like 3 hours or something and everything. Watch one of those and it's free. I'll actually search a video for when I do the podcast and post it in the link. So if you're listening to the podcast and you own and run a business, go look in the link and go take a class on, or go in the link and look at the link. It's going to be a link to a YouTube about accounting basics. I recommend everyone do something like that, or I'll just say everyone watch that video, having that backbone and structure and just information, just having that information can be so life-changing. Yeah, that's the word I want to use. Life-changing. It can be so life-changing. So, I've been flipped on my head recently. It's been a crazy couple of days, in these recordings and what's going on and everything. It's been wild. It's been crazy. So I don't know how to describe it. I'd say this is like, I guess, what it means for the business to be picking up, and I'm just trying to bring more value. I feel since I'm not hustling and doing enough, I'm not bringing enough value. So I actually did my to-do list and task list and everything today, and it's going hard. Like, I'm going hard on it, and my goal is to be done before 7:00. So I have to actually do an article after this. I've done a lot today. So far, I've already increased how much people I've been talking to. I went to a networking meeting this morning. I connected with a new person. So I've really been starting to implement my business-to-business strategy more because I'm getting back into my virtual networking meetings and everything. What else? I've worked out. Oh my gosh, that I did a core workout this morning. Shout out to Nike Training app for being free. That if you cannot, since you can't go to the gym right now, shout out the Nike Training app for being able to help you work out in the house. Big changer. So if you're looking to do some in-home workouts, you don't have any equipment or anything, definitely download the Nike Training app because it's a huge win, definitely. I have to get a LinkedIn article. Oh my gosh, I hate writing, but I understand that I have to get better at it because I feel like I'm good at it, but I feel like I'm bad at it. I know I'm bad at it, but I feel like I'm good at it because I can word things. However, sometimes it doesn't always go from my head to the paper because I'm still all over the place, which is really why I've tried to hone down on my organization skills and everything. I've really tried to hone down on my organization skills. Ooh, jeez, oh my gosh. Ugh. I have a list for you guys today because this is the must-haves for going virtual. This has been a ride. So let me give you some of the must-haves for being virtual. As a virtual assistant, I enjoy living the laptop lifestyle. And before anyone gets confused, let me say this: if you're going to live the laptop lifestyle or the entrepreneur life, you have to be ready to do that at all costs. That has to be your dream. Like, dancers will live in a house with 5 other dancers so they can keep the costs low because they're living in New York or Los Angeles or something and be a waitress, and they're taking poop jobs just so they can build a resume or build a repertoire or a catalog, or whatever it is that they're trying to do. You have to have that mentality as an entrepreneur. You have to tuck into this mindset where you're a different person. My hobby, what my life is, being an entrepreneur. You have to go and want to live it. Live laptop lifestyle isn't just being on the beach. Laptop lifestyle is I'm in Starbucks because I don't have internet right now and I need internet to continue doing this business. There's going to be times like that. If you're really trying to live laptop lifestyle, it's not a guaranteed source of income. I am currently waiting on $150. Like, that's not a lot of money, but it's going to help. It's going to go pay some bills, and it's building, the more hours I'm putting in it, it's just going to grow. It's not a huge return right now, but you have to understand it. It's not supposed to be, and it's not going to be a huge return right now. You may get lucky and it can be a huge return in a short term, time frame, but it's not like just some overnight kind of thing. This is a life. That's why it's called laptop lifestyle. You have to know and understand that lifestyle. Do some research. Talk to some actual entrepreneurs or actual people that are understanding what you're trying to do and have done it already. Talk to them. What do they do? What is their life like? What is it like when things are bad? Because if you can't be if you only want to be an entrepreneur when things are good, things are going to always be bad. Because you don't know how to get yourself from bad to good. You have to know how to go from, okay, these times are bad, I have to get good. Times are good, I have to prep for when times are going to be bad. So when times are bad, I know and have a plan and an executed action stance that I can implement and get myself from bad to good. Because things are gonna go bad. You don't know what. You don't know what is gonna go bad. You just gotta prepare in the best way you can. Have a strategy. Have a planning session every so often, making sure. So when things go bad, you're like, okay, what can we do to boost ourselves back up? It's ridiculous out here, It's really not. I don't even know how to. It's not how it is, It's you have to want it. You can't just want it sometimes. I feel like those people aggravate me the most because as an entrepreneur who lives the actual entrepreneur life and entrepreneur lifestyle and hustles, I'm waiting on this 150. You really have to grind for it. So if I have not scared you away, here are some of the great things or great ways that you can go virtual starting today, in a way to change your life, way to go virtual, way to take your business from being, a regular standalone to something that can be, adaptable online. So one of the biggest things I always talk about is your social media presence. So if you're going to be virtual, you need a virtual office. Social media and your website is your virtual office. You're located as someone who's working virtually on the internet. That is your internet base. Social media is your internet base. Now, these really depend on your level of social media use. However, I highly recommend them if you already have an established social media, base. If you have an established social media plan, like you're like, okay, I know I got to post this time of day on these across these accounts, I highly recommend getting a social media manager tool. Something like Hootsuite, something like Loomly, something like Social Pilot. That's what I'm currently trying out. Something that it just really will make your life easier. You can bundle it. You can send them out in bulk. You can pre-plan and schedule. I promise you, if you have a social media which you should, let's put it like that, get social media, and then after you get the hang of your posting and how you're going to get your content flowing and how you're going to contextualize per platform, then after everything comes together, check out a social media manager tool like Hootsuite, like Social Pilot, like Loom, because it's a game upgrader. However, you have to have played the game to get to that point to deserve that upgrade. You can't just jump in saying I'm about to use Hootsuite or anything like that. Now, if you're a social media agency, that's completely different. I recommend going to learn the mess out of Hootsuite and everything. Canva. Oh, that's another one. Canva. When you're on social media, you're going to need content. Canva.com, Canva app, great at creating content. My logo, literally, if you see content from Angelo's Assistance of America, chances are, if it's not a video, it came from Canva. My newsletter, Canva. My photos on Instagram, like my Motivational Mondays or anything like that, Canva. Anything that you see that's a brand, my logo, it came from Canva. Posters, flyers, all of it. Canva is perfect for it. So if you are a designer, if you're looking to be a logo maker, it's a great way to start and get places. And it's very inexpensive. They have a free version. You're gonna want to get some organization, some workflow apps, something like Monday.com or Later.com. Great way to flow your traffic. Wonderful way, actually, because it's a way to keep everything together. I personally use Zoho, and what Zoho allows me to do is I can connect with anybody on my team. I can bring anybody onto my team, and it's really my central. Zoho's my central nervous system. I'm actually going to talk about that a little bit later because that's my central nervous system and what I'm using, and I really want to get onto detail in that. You're gonna need internet, high speed internet. Let me repeat that. Internet. If you're going to be virtual, internet, you live on the internet. Think about that. If like part of optimizing your workflow, part of making sure you are efficient is if you at least understood the software. Like, okay, you understand Facebook, you understand Instagram, you can go through it with no problem. However, when you're trying to DM 70, 200 to 50 people a day, or you're trying to like a lot of posts and comment all the time, you need internet. Like, you don't have time to wait for it to load because you have to contextualize. You like every second counts, every single second counts in that particular situation. So internet is very important. You're going to want to have I don't feel like I should have to say this, but you're going to need a laptop. A lot of people, I just say that because some people are like, hey, do I need a laptop? Yeah, you do need a laptop. If you can, I recommend the Mac. That's what I'm using. However, get whatever you can, but you don't want to get a cheap laptop, because if you're planning on working virtually or at least shifting your work to more of an online so you can work from home type of situation, you're going to want a decent laptop with power that can handle the workload, because as I've gotten older, you realize the importance of a good laptop. When you're younger, it's like, okay, I just kind of need a laptop to go on Facebook and play games or whatever. And even then, if you're a serious gamer, you understand you have a laptop specifically. I have laptops. This is a custom built laptop for, say, gaming. That's important to someone that games. So if you're going to take your work serious, you have to have serious equipment. Just like if you are a mechanic, you don't want to have cheap equipment, because if you are a good mechanic with cheap equipment, you're still going to do a good job, but you could do a better job if you were a good mechanic with good equipment. Simple as that, No one's saying that the equipment should be your downfall. However, it just works better if you have at least up to par equipment. It could even be subpar, Subpar will even work and be efficient enough, or should be at least be efficient enough if you're good enough. So that's a huge thing if you're trying to go virtual. Definitely make sure you have and understand the tech you will need. Understand like the ins and outs of your industry, because there's going to be certain, niches and niches that have different apps and everything. Like, if you're a contractor, there's probably going to be contracting apps. Like, if you have to track your time, you're probably going to use something like Clockify. I use Clockify to track my time when I'm not working on Zoho projects. Let me really just get into Zoho, because Zoho is my central nervous system on how I run my business. So I pay for this program called Zoho One. And what Zoho One is, it's crazy. Zoho is my all-in-one central nervous system. It allows me to do my bookkeeping, my client management, my campaigns, my emailing. Literally, it's a central nervous system kind of software. I'll be dropping the link in the description. There's going to be a lot of links in the description. That's why I said the links in this description are to help you guys do whatever it is that you want to do. You don't have to be a virtual assistant, by no means. I honestly kind of don't care, kind of don't want you to either. Think about it. Why do I want you to be a virtual assistant? Be virtual in which you do. If you're an artist, be a virtual artist or whatever. You don't got to step in my lane. I don't care if you do. I welcome you to, but I can welcome you, but I prefer if you did what you want to do, because you're probably not going to like this. Being a virtual assistant can be very boring for some people. I'll say that. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's what you make of it, and it's really what you like. I love this. I absolutely love this. So back to Zoho. I use it for my bookkeeping, my CRM, as I said. And why that's important, because you're going to need all of these separate. My mom uses Wave. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but Wave is a great way to keep track of bookkeeping. Well, it's very simple to use. It's a great UI interface. Oh, hold on. Yes, UI interface too. When you're using an app, if you don't have, a central nervous system like I do, and you're using different apps, or you do have a central nervous system and you're not liking it, here's a huge, huge issue across the board, especially when it comes to apps that have multiple platform styles and you can't find out what you like. It's the user interface. User interface matters. And if there's a developer listening to this, understand that your user interface, it matters. That's probably one of the most important things to a consumer, is the user interface. It has to be easy to look at, easy on the eyes, simple, very simple, something that I can teach, so it's easy to teach, so I can learn it and then teach it, as well as have a deeper, deeper like the deeper integrated features have to be easily accessible, so the experts that would like to give out pointers and tips on it, it's not something, you don't have to be completely tech savvy to use. You can be an expert in it without, having to feel like you have to go learn how to code. I feel like certain apps, I feel like you have to know how to, like, dang, I'm not a coder, bro. Like, just make a regular app. So that, understand that when you're looking for apps and everything, it's okay to be like, oh, I don't use the same app as somebody else because you don't like the user interface. That is 100% okay. Just because it's a highly recommended app doesn't mean it's going to work best for you. I was on the Zoom call today. Someone doesn't like Zoho. They're like, oh yeah, they don't like the user interface and everything. They don't like using Zoho. It's not for them. I'm like, it's fine. I like using it. It does my job and it does well. I love. I do have like some things I would like to like change up, but overall, it's what I picked, and I love what I picked. It works, and it works well. So you have to really do your research and due diligence on what kind of program you're using. So do some research when you're looking at it. So back to why I like Zoho so much, because it's my, like I said, all-in-one. CRM is where I do my client management. That's where everyone does the client management. And it's, how do I put it? It's easy. I don't know what else to say. It's literally just simple, They have the plus signs, they have a great format. They really make using the CRM extremely easy to use. And that's what they're known for, their CRM. However, they also have, if you purchase for altogether one price of $35, access to everything. I can do my e-signatures from there. I can do my mailing, my flyers, my posters. Oh my God, I just love it. Like I said, I'm going to post the link in the description. I highly recommend, if you are trying to be virtual, you check it out, because it can automate your workflow, which brings me to automation of workflows. You cannot do things the same way you did like you were in your regular office when you're trying to be virtual. You have to put things on autopilot. You have to make things virtual. You have to be in a cloud. They cannot be stuck on paper. You have to have a process, and that process has to be smooth. How do I, let me explain it like this. When you collect money, how long does it take for you to go from billing to collecting? Now, sometimes they might be due on receipt, so you may get it immediately. But if you have leniency, even though it's due on your receipt, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna hound you to pay it. We're small businesses. We don't want to hound people and chase them down. They know they owe us. It's not guaranteed that you'll make that mark. So think about how long does it take for you to invoice a customer or client till you get paid? And what is the process through that? And how long does that take? Now, think about how long it took to actually get the client. Think about the process it took to get the client. And then you say, make the sale because you send the invoice. And then think about how long it takes for you to actually get the money. When you're working from home and it's just you need to be able to condense that cycle in time, because your time is valuable. Your time matters. So what you have to do is condense that schedule so that you can make time for other things. So you have to come up with automated workflow processes. So if you know what happens when things happen, when they go into place, like zaps or whatever you want to call them, whenever triggers, whenever something happens, something else happens. So when you talk to somebody, the first thing that should happen is you should have them in your CRM. If you're talking to somebody about business, and I don't care if it's just a regular coffee, and you're talking to them, they go in your CRM. You're not maintaining a client. You're maintaining someone you talk to. That's a relationship. It's a customer relationship. The relationship is more important than the customer aspect. I wish it was just called relationship management. It doesn't have to be customer relationship management. Just relationship management. Use your CRM for relationship management, not customer relationship management, relationship management. And that thought, just understanding it to be your relationship manager, will be so much better. So you talk to the person, you have coffee. As soon as you do that, boom, you put them in your phone or your CRM. You put that contact, you put their information in your CRM. That's not shared with all of the other stuff. You're just talking, you're chatting them up. Now, because that person's in your CRM, your list, you have their email and their contact information. You now are going to send out a newsletter. You don't have to send out a newsletter. You might be sending out, hey, I have a sale going on for discount or whatever. You have that person's email. That person gets that email. That person looks, oh, snap, they're not going to buy. They don't care. But you have it. They've seen it. They know you. They know what you do. They may at some point in the future buy, or they may buy right there. Who knows? We're talking long term right now. So that person sees your email, boom. Now you know if that person likes it or not, if they respond to it. Did that person open it? Did they view it? What happened? Did this person not open the email? Did this person open the email? Did this person click on it? That's what Zoho allows you to. I can see that in Zoho. That's why I use Zoho. So now you can say, okay, well, this person didn't even respond. I either now don't send this person something else, or I can send them something else. They might be a newsletter weekly. Keep them up. If they unsubscribe, then you know that that's not what they like, and then you can move on to the next thing of what they might like. Now, you just let it marinate. So you have them in your CRM, you have them in your contacts, and you're sending them content. They accept it. They opened it. You are now sending them content. They're not buying. You're just sending them deals, because they're in your list of other people that are also buying. So in the list of people that you send out your deals to, or whatever it is that you're doing, like your newsletter, some of them care, some of them don't. However, some people buying, some people aren't. This particular person's just seeing. Everyone is seeing it. Now you have them in your CRM, and you're establishing a relationship because you keep sending deals. This person now at one day decides to say, purchase. I'm gonna buy. I want this. In my case, they're gonna purchase my service. Someone else's case, they're gonna purchase, like a product. What happens now? If it in the service aspect, I immediately, now that if you show interest and you'd like to purchase, I set you up in the onboarding process. I have a template with documents already set up in my account that are preset, that just say, hey, I just put their name up there and say, these are the documents that need to be signed. Now they come back, and then from there, what happens next? An invoice is sent. If you don't have that process in set motion, it's going to be all over the place, because now you're like, okay, what do I have to do? You have to create things on the fly. You have to come up with things as you're going. If you're prepared in the sense of having this structure and this process done before, I guarantee you it will make your life easier, and you don't even have to be like working from home to do it. It could be part of your regular job. It could be part of your everyday business life, or whatever it is that you're doing. And it's so much better. Like, okay, look, she just emailed me back right now. See, this is the process. So I sent out like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I sent out documents to be approved and signed so that we can, set up with the invoice. I am now getting an email. I'm looking at my email right now. She has said she'd like to use her personal email, and then we can put both copies of the email addresses for communication, But I limited how much there's. So anyway, she would just like to make a couple of changes. So much easier. Now from there, I'm going to simply send it off. Okay. I'm going to go make those changes real quick and send it right back because I already have a template. I don't have to go redo everything, It didn't come from just that thing, and now I have to maybe like copy, paste, reformat, and do all this other stuff. No. You want to make sure you have your workflow and your processing systems down pat. Like I said, I'm giving so much value in today's podcast. Like, this is going crazy. And the next thing you're going to want to do is establish communication. Now, you already have your social media, because social media and your website are like your virtual offices, if you will. Like I said, they're your virtual offices. Now you need ways of communication. You have a cell phone? Yes. Now that you can call and text. That's one way of communication. You can set up a Google. That's another way of communication. If you don't have a phone, and say you're like, okay, dang, let's be 100% real. Someone out there that could possibly listen to this might say, I don't have enough money for a phone and a phone bill. Perfect. How are you listening to this podcast? Answer me that. Whatever you're using to listen to this podcast, because this is a podcast, which means you have to have an app. If you have an app, that means you can download Google. Download Google Voice. That's free. You're going to now go to Google Voice and get a Google number. This will cost you $10 to $12 a month. You need to be able to afford $10 to $12 a month. This will now give you a Google number that you can now use to text and call other businesses and use as like your internet number. If you can't afford the $12 a month, Zoom. I am recording my podcast on Zoom right now because I can take the audio, I can record it and take just the audio from it. They actually give you that option. Like, when you go on Zoom for free, I do not pay for Zoom, so you do not have to pay for Zoom. I'm letting you know it is free. At least if you have the free package, you don't have to get anything fancy. It's free. Just worry about that part. Tell everyone to call you on Zoom. Now, the issue is some people may not have Zoom, and you might have to say, well, you have to download Zoom. However, you don't even have to show your face. You can do a straight call conference on Zoom, and that's absolutely free. So I don't want to hear any excuse for you to say, I don't know how to communicate with my clients. So how am I going to communicate? Because then you can email. At the bare minimum, you can email, and that is absolutely free on every single level. Like, it probably takes like 5 minutes now. It used to take a while to make an email back in the day. Now it take like 4 minutes. Do a couple like boom, 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 booms. Literally like a couple 1, 2, 3, 4s, and then you got an email. That's a free way of communication. You want to make sure you have a way to virtually communicate. Your conferences, your calls, all of your meetings, over phones, over Zooms. Why? One, don't ever let anyone say that you can't do it. Oh, I prefer to meet face to face. That's fine. But, if you're going to be virtual, put your foot down and say, my things are virtual. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be available or whatever. Whatever it is that your reasoning is, that's your reasoning. Because here's the thing. As of right now, we can't meet face to face at all. So if this person is telling you, hey, I prefer to meet face to face, well, what were you doing during the coronavirus? How would we be able to continue working with each other without, this technology that we have? With that being said, G Suite is definitely worth the $13. G Suite is definitely worth $13. My next tip, get organized. And when I say get organized, I mean update your library and archives. When I mean update your archives and libraries, I mean get all of your stuff on the internet, on the cloud, on the line, on whatever, on a program, on something that is conducted through the internet. I don't care if you use Google. That's why I'm saying even regular Google Drive. I didn't even get into Google Drive. All of these great pointers. If you're trying to go virtual, all of this stuff is great to use. Google Drive. You can, for free, create documents, find templates, like, little known secret, my NDA comes from Google Template. It's legal. You feel me? Like, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google PowerPoint presentation, Google Forms, Google in and of itself will be like your small business best friend. from me as a small business owner and entrepreneur, I am in love with Google and what they do. Like, they provide so much. You can't hate on Google. Like, Google basically is a super advanced Facebook in terms of data. You know, like, we get mad at Facebook, but Google really does some stuff, but you can't really be mad at it because Google gives you such value for free. Like, listen, we all have a Gmail. And if you have a Gmail, you can get access to Drive, which has Docs, Excel, Sheets, Form, so much stuff. Look into that. I don't even have to. I'm not going to put the link in the bio, but I'm not going to waste that because you guys can go and do Google Docs. Like, that is huge. So yes, update your archive, your library, your bookkeeping system, whatever it is that, if you have paper stuff, whatever it is that you collect on paper, whether it be invoices, taxes, forms, files, signatures, whatever it is that may be, that needs to go virtual. That needs to go online. Now, you can hire somebody like me to do that as a virtual assistant to do, to get you virtual, or you can take 3 hours a day and just put it online. I suggest investing in a scanner, especially if you have a lot of things that have to go from paper to online and you don't want to have to type it up, or there's no, original copies of them online already. You wouldn't, start to organize it online and then put them into files if you don't already have it. So I definitely suggest getting a scanner. That is another thing. As a, someone on the line, as a virtual worker, someone working remotely, get a scanner. A scanner will help you with scanning. You can do receipts, files, forms, envelopes, like if it's a piece of paper, you can scan it, period. And it goes into Evernote. The one I'm using is Raven. Shout out to Evernote because they're a great tool to use too if you're a small business, because it's a great way to keep track of everything. That's how I do receipt management. Oh my gosh, I was so tongue twisted there. A lot of contractors lose receipts, apparently. And it's a known fact. If you have had a contractor and you're asking for any form of information, you're like, yeah, how much was this Home Depot thing? They're like, it was maybe like $20. Well, what do you mean it was maybe $20? I want to make sure I can take a refund or a deductible or something for it. I need the receipt. Oh, I don't know where the receipt is. What do you mean you don't know where the receipt is? I kind of would like that and need that, sir. So it's a huge thing to make sure you're staying organized, and Evernote is a great way to do that. That's Evernote is an amazing way to do that. And this is why I call my podcast The Ramblings, because boy, have I rambled. So you're going to want to get all of that up there. Update everything. Anything that's paper, put it on the internet. Put it in the cloud. Put your money towards getting virtual. It's highly recommended. We're only going into the future. Think about it. Technology is only going to advance. And I've been saying this. A lot of people say this. Technology only moves forward. So if it only moves forward, you might as well catch up. Because if you still are doing a lot of things on paper, you are technically kind of behind the curve. People are starting to deliver things with drones, and you're still paper? Come on. Last tip of the day. Last tip, guys. And then I'm going to get out of here. Let me get out of your hair. I badgered and rambled and talked to you guys enough. Last tip. Self-discipline. You got to be disciplined. Self-discipline. You are working from home at the end of the day. Make your environment comfortable, but not too comfortable. You have to be disciplined to actually get the work done. Everything I said, all the apps I use, all the best tech, you being great at what you do, doesn't matter if you don't do it. And at the end of the day, like I said, you're home. Make your work environment comfortable, but not too comfortable. And be self-disciplined enough to stay on task and get the work done. Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.